Religion Tuesday.
Okay.
But we're back here.
Well,
This is a Blog Talk Radio conversation with Tony Jones, theologian, where we talk about religion of the day. Tony brings to us the most important, the newest, the most helpful ways for us to think about religion. And we spend half an hour with him on it. What are you thinking about today, Tony Jones?
well, Doug, I don't know if I don't listen to the first half of your show, and you don't read my blog, so
I read your blog
probably
about ordination. I read your blog.
I've kicked up a little bit of a bleep storm in my ordination post, and it's been interesting because I've been speaking. I've held evolving views of ordination for a while now, but I guess I use more incendiary language than I have in the past, and it really torqued off a lot of people. But what's interesting, and what won't be all that surprising to you, because I think you get similar emails when you speak out about things that you're passionate about, I've been getting emails and Facebook messages from people saying, basically, oh my gosh, thank you. I was totally abused by the ordination system in this big denomination. It really crushed me. Lisa Carlton, who's the spouse of a friend of ours, Bob, wrote a comment on Adam Cleveland's blog under his post and said, the ordination system in the Episcopal Church nearly killed us. And I don't mean that metaphorically.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people don't know the difference in ordination between one denomination and the other. Like, you get a little Southern Baptist preacher who's ordained by his little white picket fence church isn't exactly the same thing as the ordination process of the Episcopal Diocese of San Francisco. So I would imagine that you're getting people from all around who are talking about, when they hear that word ordination, they're hearing a lot of different things, huh?
Yeah, and of course, people have got all sorts of, a lot of people have a lot tied up in that system, right? And I don't. And so I do think it's hard for some people to see the truth of it and what's going on, because they're in it and they're loyal to it, just like I'm blinded to, things that I'm a part of and that I pledge my loyalty to. I'm quite sure. I felt the same kind of defensiveness rise up in me when people start attacking Emergent Village and, saying it's this and that, when I know for sure that it's not either of those things,
Yeah.
So,
but I'll tell you, Tony, we got a comment here in the chat room from a guy named Mark who says, I'm in the ordination process myself. Abuse is a great word, but maybe a little too soft. So here's the difference,
wow.
Right? When you're in the ordination process from whatever denomination or system that you're in, and you're the one saying that it's abusive or that it's harmful or that it's hurtful, that's different than an outsider who hasn't chosen to be part of it, talking about how it is. I
Right.
think there's a little something different going on there.
That's what's interesting. I guess that's been the most interesting to me. There are a couple things, and some of your listener is going to be frustrated about maybe hearing the same thing over and over from me on these Tuesday mornings. But, geez, it just seems to me that the people who are defending these denominational systems are standing on the exact opposite side of the equation than the forefathers of their denominations would have stood on. Like, the one of the things that ultimately severed the relationship between the Episcopal Church and John Wesley was the fact that he was ordaining people out on the frontier because he thought every church should have an ordained preacher. So whenever he ran across somebody like Francis Asbury, for instance, who he thought was worthy of preaching the gospel in the church, Wesley laid his hands on him and ordained him.
Yeah.
And that's like, Anglicans didn't like that. That's,
right.
They didn't go for that. And now, if you were to, ordain somebody who hadn't, if some Anglican church or just group of Anglicans were to say, I'm going to make you our Episcopal priest, or Methodist did that, the Methodist denomination would probably kick that group out. So it just seems ironic to me. It just seems like they're the people who are arguing in this way are the kind of people who would have stood against Luther, not with Luther, or against Wesley or Calvin, not with them.
Right.
And the other thing that's a little bit weird is what you've already touched on, and that is this, and this comment was in my friend John's post when he wrote about this on his blog, and I've been kind of responding in kind to his blog. But his final line in this long blog post was, just leave the reformation of the denominations to those of us who are inside them and care about them.
Well, we're going to talk about that more here in the third segment after we come back from the video break. And that's where I make these little video breaks so they can be on YouTube. So we're going to be back with more with Tony Jones talking about this ordination idea, and we'll get to that in a minute, and who should really be the reforming agents inside of institutions or denominations, insiders or outsiders, because the host of this show has got an idea about that. We'll be